Hey y'all, today we're going to be talking all about walls and color theory. This is the first step in our design principles series. And when we're designing our homes, we can start with our walls and the paint color we select for the space. And I'll tell you why. The first step along the way in designing your home is deciding on your paint colors. And the reason being, this is the very environment that you're gonna live in. So, for example, when I step into my new apartment, it's all beige, as you can see. And beige is great as a blank slate for designing. However, beige really does lend itself to monochromatic or high contrast color schemes. So I've gone for a high contrast color scheme with black and creams. However, by us deciding on a color scheme, leveraging paint to paint our blank canvas, that can unlock for you endless potential in what your home looks like. I am really into spaces that transport us. So paint can be that transportation system, if you will, that portal to a whole new world. Okay, take a breath there. She got a little psychedelic, but it's true. We can create these amazing environments with the paint selections we choose. When you move into your new apartment or home with the white or beige walls, we're gonna just wanna live with the space for a little while. So that's our first step. Really start living with the space, start observing the way the light hits the walls, take some pictures, and eventually you will even start moving in some of your furniture pieces that you've already collected along the way. So when you're living in your space in this first stage, you are also going to have fixtures and materials as part of the space that you didn't necessarily choose, but were part of the space. Unless you built a custom home, good for you. So with that in mind, really start noticing how the light hits all of the materials in the space. You know, you can do this over a course of a week or 2 weeks, but really take your time. Now, the next step in the process is to notice the environment outside. So when you take a look outside of your windows at your place, do you notice a green and lush landscape? Do you notice a beautiful mountain view, a parking lot, or a lake? Yeah, some of us are luckier than others when it comes to our views, but let me just say, this is also a great tell as far as what colors we're gonna choose for the apartment. And now I'm gonna put that into practice in step 3. So in step 3, choose the items around your home that are in a variety of colors. And do not be scared. This is going to be our way of putting color theory into practice in space. So what we're gonna do is go pick a pair of shoes that you like the color of. Go pick a pink shirt or pink shoes. Go pick yellow shoes, green, blue. Pick an item that you have, whether it's art, whether it's just a random object, any sort of materials, anything like that. It can be kitchenware. These are literally objects, shoes, art, paintings, things that you already have, no purchasing needed, and place them on the floor in the light of your room next to your floors. But what you're going to do is you're going to look at what colors between all of the different colors you were attracted to that you have placed on in the space look really, really harmonious as the light comes in through the day. So I'm going to use my home as an example because I'm also considering wall colorings and wall coverings. We'll get to that in a second. So when we're taking a look at our spaces here, at our pieces here, I'm pointing to the ground because that's where I placed my items. I noticed that there were 3 distinct colors that worked very, very well in this space. Primarily a light yellow. Now, in my personal life, I don't typically gravitate towards light yellow. It's not something I wear all the time, and it's a little bit more sunnier than my high contrast tendencies. But I just kept coming back again and again that this light yellow was showing up so beautifully next to the dark wood flooring and the marble veining. Now, in your place, there will be a completely different color that looks so beautiful and harmonious with the different materials in your place. Guys, I'm back in my workout clothes, jumping into the script because I forgot a really important part of the process, which is after you lived with those gorgeous objects that you selected from your wardrobe or from your life, now we're going to order paint samples. So you have found a color that really speaks to you. So now you can order free paint samples online. And if you're working for a designer, they'll just send them to you directly. And you're going to take those paint samples and put them on your wall. Or if it's peel and stick wallpaper, you can order a little swatch and you can have it on your wall and live with it. And then you're gonna watch again the light coming in. So this adds another few days to the process, and it's very well worth it. I should have mentioned that. So I'm gonna send you back to the video, but I wanted to include that step on your wall covering journey. And that brings me to step 4, which is how to incorporate different colors and textures in your home. And step 4 is definitely the most advanced step because it involves color theory. And I don't want you to get hung up on color theory because I want you to have a home that you love, that follows your instincts, and also does not have to be perfect. So with that, and what I mean by that is sometimes we kind of overthink it. So when we're thinking about color theory and what works well in the space, all I'm suggesting is that we pick different paint colors for different rooms or a combination of different rooms that work to tell a story. And they can be completely different tones and shades. So let's go back to the fixtures in your home. It is likely that you have continual flooring throughout your home and continual kind of like woods or different materials that were used in the building process that go throughout your home. And in some cases, this is not the case, but it is likely that you do. And so no matter what color you introduce next, let's say I chose my yellow first, the next color I pick should live in the family of those spaces, and the family is what matches the current fixtures in the home, unless you're changing those out. Now, if you're changing those out, completely different ballgame, but the principle still stands that we want to match the colors to the light coming in and how it looks in the space, the flooring, the fixtures you've already had, and everything else is changeable. So I have noticed that in my own fixtures, these are examples of my home, there were some selections made that make my life a little complicated, and you'll notice it too on your own space likely. But there's dark wood flooring. I'm sitting on a marble floor with a gray vein and a high contrast kind of a flooring, and then my whole decor that I had selected even before I moved in here really falls into that high contrast vein. So the colors that I ended up landing on using this exercise, and based on all the materials already in my home, is this light yellow, this light pink, and this kind of like light coral color. All right, so we are not done yet. We are ready to move on to how we are going to cover the walls because we have a lot of options. So step 5 is let's choose some paint coloring or wallpaper that really does fit within our aesthetic preferences and within our space. So I'm going to give both renter and homeowner options. And what is great is you can kind of find renter and homeowner options these days from the same brands, which makes your life so simple because you can find many different options. Now, when you are choosing your wall coverings, whether we're going for a peel and stick wallpaper paint or a regular wallpaper, you have a variety of options available to you. So I'm gonna start us off with a renter-friendly tip, which is when you go to install your wallpaper, if you decide to move forward with the wallpaper, you can use the grid method. And what this means is you line up painter's tape and then you install your wallpaper. So you don't necessarily have to go with a wallpaper that is peel and stick. And if you were gonna go for peel and stick, you don't have to necessarily worry about paint peeling off when you peel it off, because that's something I'm worried about at my place. And then secondly, if you are in a renter's apartment, they won't likely make you pay to, change back your paint when you move out. And that could either be a very expensive process or a very stressful, arduous process. And so for someone like me who isn't an experienced painter yet, what I am considering is instead of painting my walls is getting a one color wallpaper, peel and stick wallpaper to use on my walls, or leveraging the grid method. And Amazon has a ton of options I'm considering, and I'm gonna bring you along for the ride as I make over different parts of the apartment. All right, so that is the next step, is with some tips, is are we going for paint or wallpaper? And to make this decision, I definitely would think to yourself, what do I want to live with every day? We are moving into the realm of wallpaper. With wallpaper, the more timeless your pattern is, the more you're going to enjoy it day in and day out. And my rule is to typically, or my guideline is to typically go for wallpaper in smaller, compact spaces, so that the eye isn't overwhelmed. So let me say I'm someone who gets overstimulated by pattern very easily, and so this would be my personal hack, is I only like to use wallpaper in small spaces. When I go for installing wallpaper, I love to install wallpaper on the ceiling. The reason being, I just think it's gorgeous in a small, compact space to go all in, get cozy, and have this kind of jewel box effect in the room. So those are some tips for wallpaper. Now when it comes to choosing your wallpaper, this is a tough decision. So this is where we will go back to our color theory from earlier. We've already established some colors that will work well, and so in my home I would be looking for wallpaper with undertones of yellow, pink, or that coral, and in your home it's going to be totally different colors. Now, I invite you to this next step, which is number 5, and that is called departures. Yes, I love this. Okay, so once you have your kind of your rule set, we went through steps 1 through 4. In our final step, step 5, departures, there will be places in your space where it makes sense to totally depart from the other colors you've witnessed working in your home. And this, in my opinion, is only natural to create an unpredictable, fun, spontaneous experience in your home. So what I mean by that is I have in my home spaces that are light and bright and airy, and then I have other spaces that are dark and tight and compact. And with those darker, tighter, compact spaces, again, I am leaning into the light, and I'm going to completely depart from my color scheme and go with a color that is complementary to these other colors and to the full scheme, but also has a mind of its own. So for example, we talked about the colors I'm planning for the light and bright spaces. For my darker spaces in my kitchen, I am leaning towards a dark green or a dark charcoal wallpaper. And when I say that out loud, you wouldn't typically think that fits into the scheme of the yellow, the pink, and the coral, but I want to give this space its own identity. And so that's what I invite from you. Once you have established your foundation in those first few steps, this last step, departures, is all about creating a space that is completely unpredictable, spontaneous for you, and still fits into that story beautifully. So I hope that's freeing for you. You don't have to follow all of the rules. Every space can have its own identity. Every space can have its own story. And so the reason that we are starting with the pink color selections again is because this really sets the environment for our home. And this is our first chance to create harmony between the outside, the fixtures inside, and what the space and light wants from us. And with this final tip, I would say, please let me know if you get hung up at all in the process of establishing your walls. I will be back soon with a new installment of the Design Foundation series. I will be back soon with a new installment of the Design Foundation series. We're building our dream homes from the ground up. If you get hung up along the way in the process, you can reach out to me. I'm Rachel Petrie at rachaelinteriors, and I spend my day designing homes. So definitely reach out if you need me. And yeah, what do you think in the comments? What paint colors are you considering for your home? What wall colors are you considering?